How you doing today? My name is Robert Johnson, and I wanted to take just a few minutes today to talk to you about a topic that's near and dear to my heart, which is the subject of diversity within the context of the local church. I think this is one of the biggest challenges that's facing the church today, and you can even see clearly in the culture that's happening around us that people who have thought they had it all figured out are learning a lot of hard lessons right now about the experiences of other people. I myself grew up in a diverse family. My dad was black, my mom was white. I had a full white sister, a full black sister. I've got a Korean brother-in-law. I'm biracial. I've got a Puerto Rican uncle. I've got cousins of different race. And to be honest, there were times where these challenges and this diversity didn't come so easy. But growing up in that environment, I think I've learned a lot of lessons along the way that may be able to help church leaders across the board navigate through some of these difficult times. One of the things that I think we've gotten wrong, if I could just speak on it for a second, is that churches who are predominantly white, to be honest, have said for so long, we want diversity, we want people from other groups to come and be a part of our community. In doing that, what they didn't realize was that they were possibly using these people for diversity and proximity without truly embracing the pain and the challenges and the things that these people may be walking through. I would say even here in Birmingham, Alabama, which Martin Luther King Jr. said was the most effectively segregated city in the entire country, when he was here in jail, he wrote a letter called Letter from a Birmingham Jail, and in it he talked about how the group of people that maybe were the most frustrating and challenging for him to communicate with, it was not extreme groups like the KKK or white supremacists, but too often the moderate white majority who would call themselves evangelical Christians. I would hope that in this season, with things like what's happened with Ahmaud Arbery or George Floyd going on, that the white moderate has another opportunity to get this one right, to own this opportunity, to own this moment, and to use the things that God's given them, their platform, their resources, their privilege, to make change. They're kind of confused. Some of my friends have come to me confused, wanting to understand the issues better and know what to do to be a part of the solution. The first part of this, I have a 3-step process I really give to my friends a lot of times to help them navigate through what it looks like to grow and understand these issues. I try and tell them to think about this process as a wheel with 3 spokes on it. On that wheel, the first step is always just to acknowledge the issues. You would think that would come so easy, that people would understand that things aren't perfect in this country given our country's history. But to be honest, the love of country sometimes can be blinding for people who may not understand the issues that minorities still face today. And so the first step in this process, if you're going to ask me or another minority about their experiences, is to, when they speak, actually believe them, actually let them talk. Instead of rebuttaling, just choose to acknowledge when they share something that their experience is real and valid, their emotions are real and valid, that the history even itself, which has kind of in some ways been controlled by the white majority who would like to maybe write some of the things in a more forgiving light of what's happened, to even acknowledge the ugly truth about American history, past slavery into Reconstruction, into segregation and Jim Crow, into the war on drugs and its issues that it's caused in over-policing minority communities, into the wealth gap and practices like redlining, keeping people from being able to purchase homes and build generational wealth using homes and assets. All of those things exist, but without you acknowledging them and truly being open to learn, we can't go any further in the discussion. The second thing I try and tell my friends to do is to discover more. Just take time and discover more. Ask questions. Genuinely be curious and listen when you listen with the intent to understand and not to rebuttal. Watch documentaries, find podcasts, read articles. In today's world, with so much modern technology and true history available, there's really no excuse not to know what's going on in our culture today. But to do that, you can't really understand today's issues without a good cultural background and context of American history. And that takes discovering and having a heart to learn. The last thing I always tell them is to engage. The first part of engaging has nothing to do with taking action. I'm so thankful that my friends, of the Caucasian or white race want to take action on my behalf during times like this. But the first thing I truly need them to do is to emotionally engage with everything that they've done in the first two steps, acknowledging that the issues are real and discovering more on their own. Once they've done those first two things, engage with what you've learned emotionally, using empathy to put yourself in someone else's shoes. And that's the first part of engagement. The second piece is to use the platform and influence that you've been given. In short, I've got a few statistics just to talk about what this actually looks like in today's world. Just some stats on the 10 richest Americans, 100% of them are white. U.S. Congress, 90% of U.S. Congress is white. Governors, 96% white. Top military advisors, 100%. Presidency and vice president, other than one, 100% white. U.S. House Freedom Caucus, 99%. Current U.S. presidential cabinet, 91%. People who decided which TV shows we see, 93%. People who decide which books we read, 90%. People who decide which news is covered, 85%. People who decide which music is produced, 95%. People who directed the top 100 grossing films, 95%. People who are teachers, 82% of teachers. Full-time college professors, 84%. Owners of professional football teams, 97%. It looks like engaging, looks like taking that privilege, that position, that power, that seat of authority in culture, and using it to amplify, to elevate, to promote, to empower the voices of those minorities in your sphere of influence. It looks like finding ways to promote from within and not just give equality, but equity in companies and in places of authority so that we can start to see the balance come in the scale in this nation. I think, I'm more hopeful, I'm more heartbroken and more hopeful in today's world than I have been in a long time, because for the first time, even friends of mine who have been resistant to these conversations in the past are coming to me with open ears, with soft hearts, and with thick skin to have tough conversations. Thank you.